Hey guys, James at Kartz-N-Fartz. So I'm pretty excited for this video I'm getting ready to do. I knew it was coming, but we're going to do an install with Eco Battery's new AC drive kit. So I'll go over all that. But first thing I wanted to do was show you my personal cart. It's actually my wife's cart, but that's the cart we're going to be working on today. So let me show you what I've got now and tell you a little bit about it. And then once we do the Eco AC upgrade, then we'll see what kind of differences it makes. All right, so here is my wife's personal cart. This is a 2015 Club Car Precedent. It is a stretch kit. I bought it off the golf course and added the double take stretch kit. Not too long after I first got introduced to Eco Battery, I was sold on them, so I bought one. So this is about a 3-year-old battery. That's one of the very first installs that I did. Since then, they've come up with a CAN charger, which is a little upgrade, but the batteries are pretty much the same thing. I do have some accessories, so I put a fuse block in there. Still got the Eco Battery voltage reducer. I've got underglow lights, stereo, just typical 6-inch lift, 23-inch tall tires. What I did do a long time ago was I put this Plum Quick motor on there. And if you follow the channel, you'll remember I just did a video not too long ago with a 4-year-old Plum Quick motor and a 3-year-old Eco Battery. This cart right now is DC power, is doing about 31. Occasionally it may hit 32 miles an hour. But I mean, this is the same stuff that you guys are going to buy. Mad Jack's lift, 6-inch lift. So mods, tires, but this is what you guys can buy right off the shelf. So we're going to put the Eco Battery AC kit on here, and I'm really excited about that coming. So let's go do an unboxing. All right, guys, so got the cart in the shop, and we named this the Mama Bear 2 because this is the second cart that I've built for my wife. And here are the boxes that's going to come with your AC kit. So we've got the motor, we've got some harnesses, and by the way, this is a stretch cart. So there is a harness specific for the stretch cart. So not gonna lie to you, as soon as I got it, I had to open it up and just take a peek at it, but I really haven't pulled out every single part. So let's go ahead and start with that. Let's see what we got to work with. All right, so the kit that I've got is the 5 kW 600 amp. I think there is going to be one other kit below this, but this is the kit that we're going to be installing today. They should install the same way. So as we open up the motor box, you can see that they got a set of bolts nicely packed away. Oh wow, that looks nice, doesn't it? And that is aluminum, that's not plastic. So looks like there's your speed sensor and possibly some other sensors. I think they call it a phase sensor or something like that, but let's open this up and look at it. All right, so here's the motor out of the box. It's got some pretty nice heat sinks, and all this is aluminum. It's really gonna look pretty nice. Of course, you got your color-coded cables that go to your motor. Neat stuff. All right, so it looks like that's gonna be all that's gonna be in our motor box. Let's see here. There we go, yep. So let's move on to the next box. And guys, if the first time you're viewing the channel, you'll know I do all this by myself. I do it in my garage, which is very junky. Got a lot of golf cart parts. But anyway, the idea of behind this video is to show you that you can do this at home yourself. So now the next box, let's see if it's got a label on it. It does right here. This is your controller assembly. So this is the 600 amp. So let's open it up. There we go. That Eco Green. Not quite Eco Green, but it is green. Again, very nicely packed. And this looks like your switch plate. So there's your controller. There's your solenoid already pre-mounted. That's pretty cool. And everything is color-coded for your cables. I'm assuming the cable's going to be in here. We're getting ready to find out. Like I said, this is my first time actually opening it up. And Oh, that's pretty nice. Eco battery power. So I noticed, because I work on so many club cars, that's going to be a set screw. And I don't know what that is. That's probably going to be your run tow switch. So as we get into this, and that's all that's in this box, we will find out. And if you're new to club car, you'll probably see there's the set screw I was talking about, and there's where your old run tow switch is. So let's go to our last box here. Now we're getting into some stuff. So everything is nicely packaged and labeled. That looks like that's the whole wire harness. And I did not mention this yet. However, now's a good time. So when I talked to my Eco battery rep about all this kit, I said, what was your goal? Well, the goal is to make a kit that someone at home, just like yourself or a professional, can install this without having to source anything out from a different vendor for cables, a different vendor for solenoid, all the little small things that you might have to do. All right, looks pretty good right there. All right, there's your motor cables, already color coded. Try to make this dummy proof. Let's see what this is. That looks like my main positive and negative cable. You know, in your factory cables, they usually have a little pigtail off there. Looks good, looks good. Red and black for positive and negative. And that looks like about it. So it looks like a mess right now, but it was all very nicely packed in there. So let's go jump into it. So now the next step is I need to remove everything out of this cart. So I'm gonna remove the middle seat. I'm gonna lift the battery out. Good thing about these Eco batteries, they're very simple to lift out. I'll cut it off before I do all that. And I'm gonna leave my charger mounted, my fuse block, my voltage reducer, all that's gonna go back in there. However, this plate's gonna be replaced. And if you look about how thick it is, that's my underglow lights. I may have to relocate that or either stick it on the new panel, but it's gonna go right there where that is. Once I get all this out the way, I'll show you the next step is going to be to disconnect my wires from my Plum Quick motor and get it out the way. So let me jump on that. Hey guys, one other thing I'm going to do is every tool that I use, I'm going to keep it out. So stay tuned to at least the end of the video and you can see every tool that I needed to convert this, and make sure you got everything before you jump into the job. All right guys, I'm probably not going to show you every single step, but it's pretty much R&R, just take this stuff loose. So on the controller, the harness that goes to the front of the cart, you can kind of tell it's that one right there. So this wire right there, that is a speed sensor to your motor. Once I unplug it, it's gonna come all the way out. These wires right here, the white, green, orange, and blue, that goes to your motor. I'm just gonna leave it connected to this whole panel because this whole panel is coming out and I'm not gonna need to use it. Run tow switch, everything. I'm just gonna take it out. But this harness here, once I unplug the speed sensor, I am gonna follow those wires and I know it goes to right here. Unplug that, and then there's another one over here that actually goes to your diagnostic port. Get rid of it, and if you look at it, well, actually that harness does go up here. So I'll unplug the run tow switch, and also over here on your solenoid. And one more right here. So that harness is ready to come out. So I'm gonna crawl underneath there, get the motor out. I'm gonna get the harness out. On this limo cart, I'm gonna have to lift this panel up right here and get this out of here. I've already taken the screws loose, and the harness goes in the frame rail and comes up behind the dash right here. So we'll get that done. Figured I might as well show this to you. So up underneath here, if you're not familiar with it, that is your speed sensor that goes right in the side of your motor. I've actually already unclipped it. And you may have a little zip tie, so carry a pair of cutters that may be tied to this harness, but that is that pigtail that's gonna slide right out. Then I'm gonna come under here with a 7/16 and a 1/2 inch to take those cables loose, and that whole cable will be able to come out with the plate. Then we'll move on to getting this motor. Which, by the way, has been an awesome motor for me. I think that motor's about 4 years old. I think I talked at the beginning of the video, it's doing about 32 miles an hour. It takes a little while to get up there. It's DC power, but I'm real excited how the AC power is going to get me up to those speeds and hopefully even faster. So let's go ahead and move on. All right, up front here to remove the key panel, you've got two T30s, which are on each side, and then you've got a T15 in the top. So that one in the top is a little bit of a long screw, but you'll see the tab here in a second. So let's go ahead and get this loose, and it fits right into that little metal piece right there. That's what that T30 does. So as I'm getting this loose, these wires to my headlight switch, that's part of my bucket harness, but this here is my factory harness. That's what I'm going to be replacing. So I'm gonna go ahead and loosen that, and I'm going to pull this floor mat up and feed that out. All right, so I've got that pulled back. Now this harness here, yours is going to look just like that on the end. If you don't have a limo cart, the reason all those are the same color, this was a harness that was specifically extended so it can match up to the factory harness. So I guess you've got, that's a female end. I'm gonna have a male end on the other side. But I'm gonna pull this mat up and I'm gonna try to get this extension out. And I'm assuming the other one, well, it's probably gonna be somewhere about right here. So let me get that fed out. And again, guys, this is a limo cart, but this kit does come in for just a standard 4-seater, and you won't have to worry about this extension harness. But it's going to do it exactly. You're going to do every step that I'm doing. Guys, exactly. I'm going along with this with you, and as I crawled underneath it, there's the harness I was telling you about. So my extension harness starts here. Yours is going to have all those colored wires in there. So I'm going to go ahead and take actually all of this is going to come out, but I'm going to disconnect it here, pull it through this channel, and we're going to figure out a way we can feed the new harness through here. If you are working on a stretch cart, and it is one like mine that was added on with a kit, it does have 3 bolts along this panel, and these 2 right here actually go to the base of a seat pod. So I'm going to take those out so I can take this whole cover off, because my harness goes in between this channel. I think it'd be just as easy to take it loose, feed it, then tighten it back up, as it would be to try to fish it through there. So that's what I'm gonna do. All right, guys, that didn't take but a second. Now you can really get a good look at that factory harness. So this is gonna be much easier for me to feed this through. So I'm gonna go ahead and disconnect this, get that extension out of there, and let's start getting this harness. Guys, I got it disconnected underneath. My limo kit was pop riveted here rather than bolted, so I'm gonna have to put 2 new pop rivets in there, but not a big deal. I can pull that out and get this harness out. That was my extension harness that I was talking about. So if you have a limo, if you don't worry about it. It's gonna be a lot easier for you. So now I need to take that harness that's gonna go up through here. And what I did do is I took 2 of the body bolts here, took them out. I just loosened the ones on the rear. And I think that was that T30. Slide this up. And with 2 hands, I'm just gonna slide that panel. Now, when I lifted the floor mat, it also had 3 T30s, 1 in the middle, 1 on the end. And this panel here, man, this is difficult with 1 hand. Sorry about that, guys, but it will come out. So let me put it. So now that I got that panel lifted out the way, this here is your main harness. You can tell because it's wrapped with that tape where you can kind of see the wires in between it. So that is slid underneath there, comes over, runs up this channel. I'm going to feed that out, and then we're going to go through this hole and remove the harness out. Hey guys, that harness went right there through that hole. That is my bucket harness. That's what the light kit came with, but the factory harness went through that same hole on this limo. And there you can see it came out. So now I'm gonna go up through that hole. I just realized I missed one. This harness right here, that goes to your M core and also your forward reverse switch, I believe. And it goes inside that channel and comes out right there. I don't know if you can zoom in and see that. So I'm gonna probably need to take the other side loose the same way, but that's a smaller harness. It may slide without taking that panel off, but it didn't take but a second to take it off. So let's go ahead and get up here at my pedal group. So I'm gonna take this little, what I call a Christmas tree pin out. Move that to the side. Pull that over to the side. And you see I got my brake light switch stuff in here, but my main deal is I want to reach underneath here and take my M-Core wires loose right there. Guys, I got the harness out. So the one on the bottom is the factory harness without the extension. The extension, I put it over there on my toolbox. So the top is going to be the new harness. And you can see it's already got the extra length that we're going to need. And I did open up this bag of stuff and everything is labeled. It's really pretty cool. So when I first opened up the wire, I did not, well, I noticed over here for my M-Core, for my throttle sensors, well, that doesn't look too familiar, but it does have an adapter harness, like right here. And if you've worked on club cars before, there's a harness very similar to that adapts an M-Core 2 to an M-Core 4. So anyway, let me, I've got the whole bag of everything. So at this point, let me go ahead and get that motor off. I have not done that yet. And actually, once I get the motor off, I can remove this plate completely out. All right, guys. So to take this motor off, you've got the 7/16 and 1/2 inch. Some of your older Presidents have a 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch studs, so they're about the same. And up here, it's going to be difficult to show you, but there's a 7/16 there, and there's 2 more. So there's 3 bolts. If you remember, we opened up the motor, it had 3 new bolts. And then I need to take these 4 wires off. Another thing that I like to use when I take a factory motor off is this wrench here to hold the back side. Well, that's the 7/16 side, to hold it right there. This wrench is very thin, so it's not designed to pull a lot of pressure, but it'll hold that stud still while you loosen the top, and that stud won't spin inside the motor and mess up all that stuff inside of there. So I'm going to take these four wires off, take the harness through this hole. Let's see if I can see from that side right there. And that's just a plastic cover that goes on the other side of the controller panel. And I'm gonna get those wires out the way, and then I'm gonna loosen up those 3, and I'm gonna show you a trick when I'm by myself how to take these motors off. So that motor there is about 42 pounds, maybe somewhere around there. I'm sure that AC motor over there on the ground is gonna be a little bit heavier, but I've got a trick. All right, got my wires loose. So they're gonna come right out of this hole. And let's see here, I've got my positive and negative cable. And guys, on this Plum Quick motor that I had, I did replace my positive and negative with 2-gauge cables, which is the same thing that's going to come with the AC kit. But my motor cables were the standard, I guess that is 6-gauge. So either 6 or 4, I think it's 6. So really, I was not getting much of an advantage because it's going to be based off the weakest link. But I'm still very pleased with the Plum Quick, how it performed with factory. But it's going to be a different game with that AC. So my trick that I was going to tell you about is a floor jack. So get your floor jack underneath there. I've got a towel so it won't scratch. And I'm gonna put the camera down, but I'm gonna take 2 hands, slide it off, and then set it on my floor jack. And I'm gonna make sure I'm balanced on that pad. If you've got 2 people to help you, it's real easy because all you do is just balance it while they release it and lower it down. But on these lifted carts, it makes it so much easier if you use the floor jack and you can just crawl around. And if you notice, I'm doing everything right on the floor. So if you've got a lift, that's even gonna be easier for you. But let me slide the motor off, get it on the floor jack, and then I'm gonna lower it down because there's plenty of space on these Precedents to do that. All right, and like I said, with a 6-inch lift, and just be careful, it'll come right out. So one Plum Quick Bandit out the way. All right, now they got the motor out the way, I'm ready to put the new motor in. These are the supplied bolts, and you can tell they're about a 1/4 inch longer, so I'm gonna use what they gave me. And there's my motor, and it's clean and as nice as it looks. I'm gonna wash my hands and I'm gonna put it on that towel again. And one of the reasons I use the towel on the floor jack, because you can scratch off the paint of the motor. So anyway, let's go. All right, guys, I'm gonna do one other thing before I move on. So the EB Power 2-gauge phase cable set, I'm gonna go ahead and put that on the motor before I put it up in there. So on most of these Precedents, there's an access panel right here, but if you look, I've got a cooler insert. I'm not gonna unscrew all that stuff just to reach in there and tighten the cable. So if you don't have the cooler insert on your seat, you can take that access panel off and you can see directly on top of the motor. But for me, it's gonna be just as easy for me to go ahead and put that on there. These are 13 millimeter. They do have lock washers on there and they're color coded, so it should be pretty much dummy proof. So I'm gonna go ahead and snug those on, and they look like the boots are the same on each end, so I don't think there's a left and right end to that. So just curious, I wonder if my controller is color coded. Yep, sure is. It's color coded also. So it's gonna be very simple to put. I'm not sure if Eco cares, but for me, I don't like the idea of putting it down like that. If you look at that orientation of that lug, I'm gonna put it flat like that. Then I'm gonna put my flat washer on there, then my lock washer, and then my 13 millimeter. And you wanna snug it till you kind of flatten that out. If you can kind of get, and I would do it straight, I wouldn't do them at angles. Try to keep it as straight as possible, use 2 hands, and then this should slide on top of that to protect if anything it was ever to hit it while it's underneath the golf cart. And if you can, if you got a little blind-headed little boy that can help you, I promise you, they cannot mess it up. You doing good, buddy? Mm-hmm. Are you Papa's helper? Yes. Okay, I got Papa's helper in here. So that's what it should look like when you tighten it up. Hey, I started wondering something. So let's measure how wide this motor is. And it is, let's get this camera, whoops, wrong way, right there. So it is just under 9 inches. Now let's go look at the new motor, and I'm gonna use my floor jack to get it back up in there. And it is 9 3/4 inches. So it's just a hair longer, but you know, I've got plenty up and down space. I'm not worried about that at all. So let's see how it goes. As I'm getting ready to jack it up, I did want to show you this one little tab. A lot of the older Club Car Precedents had that tab, and they used a 1/2 inch bolt. Yours, if depending on what year it is, it may have that. The newer style did not. So I've done plenty of the other AC guys kits with just the 3 bolts and never had a problem. So that's what I'm planning on doing. But there may be, well, it's kind of hard to see from this angle, but there may be a tab, I think it's right there, to where if you wanted to put a 1/2 inch bolt in there, you could. So, all right, so I got my helper over there. He's ready to start jacking it up, and let's come up enough where I can slide it on top of the axle. I've got my towel there to keep from scratching. All right, I got it on there. I had plenty of room over here between the shock absorber, so I'm happy about that. I did notice I hadn't put my bolts in there yet, and by the way, these bolts here, they are 10 millimeter, and they go in right there. That one's already threaded. I did notice this fin is very close to the axle tube, so doesn't like there's gonna be a whole lot of room for wiggle way, but it does fit on there. So now let me snug these, and it looks good underneath there. So I did take my cables and I went through my little access hole. It's kind of hard to see it. There he goes right there. So let's see what it looks like on the inside. So I came up through here, and I'll be ready to mount this to my controller, which is already mounted together, and bolt it up. And I think there's another wire for the temperature sensor, and there's one other thing. I'm trying to remember what it is. It's not an interrupter, but I'll figure it out by the time this video is over. Right, guys, the next step I'm gonna do is I'm actually going to install the harness before I install the controller and the run tow switch plate and everything. And I'm gonna run all those wires to where I'll have access to my key switch, my throttle sensor, which is an M-Core on the Club Car Precedent. So let me go ahead and mount that, or get that in place. And of course, since this is a limo, I'm gonna have to put it underneath those trays that actually bolt this intersection together. So like I said, some of this stuff you won't have to do, but let me go and get that. All right, so I was feeding my harness. That little end right there is gonna go to an adapter, which I saw in a bag right here. EB Power Throttle Adapter M-Core. So I will plug that in to get my M-Core. And guys, like I said, as I'm doing this, this is the first one I've done. I've also noticed that the other end of these wires, they're marked in very nice English. So this is for my forward reverse switch. That's reverse. That's my neutral going the center of my switch. And the other one should say forward. There we go. So I know these 3 wires. With this limo cart, my forward reverse switch is here. If you've got a 4-seater, it's going to be, you know, by your knees. And there was another wire. Here's the other end of the wiring harness that I fed through there. And everything is marked. Reverse buzzer. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and disconnect my reverse buzzer and this little short mini harness that's behind your ignition plate. And let's get that out the way, because we're going to have a whole new harness going to the key switch, whole new harness going to the reverse buzzer. So, and you know, at this point, this diagnostic port, you know, which that little thing always hangs down, I'm going to go ahead and loosen that out and get that out the way, because I will not be using that anymore. It does not have a club car controller. So let me get that. All right, guys, that's a little short harness that I took out. That went to my, or used to go to my battery light, which I unplug one of these when I do AC installs, because I don't feel like that light is accurate on lithium like it is on lead acid. Your green and blue wire went to the back of my key switch. These 2 wires here, I think, were the blank ones that were just laying there. I think that actually is pack voltage on one of those. You've got your diagnostic port there, and that's your reverse buzzer. So reverse buzzer, I don't know if it makes a difference, positive or negative. So your new harness that is here, I went ahead and plugged up the reverse buzzer wires. I guess I'll figure out where that makes a difference. I don't see how it can make a difference. So anyway, I just plugged those 2 up. This wire here says key switch. Now, on the key switch, there's also in your kit that's going to say key switch adapter. So that's going to plug into that end. And I know some of the older club cars had ring terminals like that, but for some reason, that adapter does not have it. These are more like blade terminals. That's actually an extension wire to my voltage reducer. So I am actually going to cut those ring terminals off, and I'm going to put the blade style so it works on my Precedent. They did give us a whole bag of stuff, so let me open this bag up and show you what kind of extra parts that it comes with. And this is labeled EB Power Wire Connector Kit. And I appreciate you guys being patient with all this cutting on and off. So I did notice it had some of these switches. I call them piggyback connectors. I don't know what the official name is, but I've got plenty of those. So anyway, I'm not going to use those 2. I've got some blank ones that I'm going to use of my own. And anyway, some bullet connectors, some other stuff. So we'll keep this handy in case we need to come back to it. But I'm going to go ahead and clip these off, and I'm going to put on the right connectors that'll fit my Precedent. All right, guys, so here behind the dash, you know, this is a limo, so my forward reverse switch, you can see I've got it marked forward, neutral, and reverse down there at the bottom with the blue wire. If this is backwards from my switch, I like for my up to be forward. If for some reason I find this is backwards, I'll just take the switch off and reverse the top and bottom wire. I've got my connectors on, and the blue wire is up top on the OEM club car harness, and the green's on the bottom, so I situated it the same way. This red wire is normally your orange wire from your voltage reducer, but that's what I use for my extension wire, so I'm going to use it on the blue terminal. That is the switched power. I've got my forward reverse. I think I've already talked about that. I connected up my little connector here for the ignition switch, so I've got it all that's cleaned out, so there's a whole lot less wiring harness here. And if I go to my M core, I've got my throttle right there. So I've got my adapter plug, and you can't see it, but it's plugged into my M core there. So I've got that part done. Now I got a decision to make. This is a personal decision, maybe not for you. I absolutely love this sticker on my golf cart. My wife hates it and talks about it every time we get in the golf cart, and that's why I leave it there. But it looks like I'm gonna have to take it off. I do like the way my forward reverse switch is on my dash. So we've got a mode switch. So this is gonna be 3 different programs that you can program into the controller for how mild or how wild you want the cart to run. Now it is going to come with a little adapter if you want to mount it, let's say on the side of your steering column housing right there. But I've got a dash kit in my cart. Thought about putting it under here and having it hidden, but you know what? I think that I'm just going to bite the bullet and take the sticker off, make my wife happy, and I'm going to put the switch right here beside there. So I'll have my forward reverse switch, and then I'll have my mode switch right there beside it. So basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take that housing and I'm gonna try to center it up right beside the other one. I'm gonna scribe it, take my Dremel tool, I'm gonna cut myself a hole, and I'm just gonna mount it right there. So no reason for you to watch me do all that stuff. My video is gonna be kind of long anyway. So let me go ahead and get that done and get ready to reassemble the dash. All right, guys. This is a correction. So this harness that plugs into your forward reverse switch, you want to have the reverse on the top terminal, and then you got your neutral in the middle and your forward button on the bottom. So that is when your switch is like this. Now if you're in a standard Precedent, which has your switch back here with the housing to go back and forth, really, probably all you need to do is just pick up the switch and turn it around and pop it back in. But anyway, if you're doing a limo and you're mounted this way, I realized this once I tried to fire everything up. All right, I got my switch mounted, and wouldn't you know it, when I peeled the sticker off, it peeled some of the the coating off there. Good thing is, these panels are not that much. If you're watching this video, I know David Hicks at Revolution Golf Carts. I'll give him a shout out. He's a club car dealer. He can get you all this plastic stuff, and I'm sure it's not that expensive. But since it is my golf cart and not a customer's, I'm gonna go ahead and put it together and test it out, and I'll order a part, then I'll get it cut out later. But I just used a little oscillating tool there, and it did pretty good. So what I did have to do, in case you are a limo installer, so I did have to cut that section. What? That's the wrong one. Where is it at? I did something with it. Oh, there it is, on the floor. All right, so that was a little raised section that was right there. So anyway, cut that off first, then I cut the hole out, and I'll have access for my wires. So let's go back. All right, guys, so I got the dash back in place. Again, everything is labeled. If my camera tell you this, reverse buzzer negative, reverse buzzer positive. Like I said, I don't think that, oh, guess what? I'm learning this. So on the back of your reverse buzzer, it does have a positive and negative. So let's look at there. Reverse buzzer negative. Yep, I got it backwards. So let's unplug those. With one hand, I can't. All right, so now we know there is a difference on reverse buzzer. 99% of my customers want me to unplug the thing. So I've got that hooked up. So I've got my switch in here, my 1, 2, 3. So it says P3, I guess that's position 3. I'm thinking you just need to grab one side. It doesn't matter, left side or right side. So I grabbed this side, very similar to my forward reverse switch. And it is marked forward, neutral, and then reverse is at the bottom. So let's hope that is right. I don't see any reason why it would not be. Okay, that came off my bucket harness. That's not part of your eco kit. That should be part of your light harness if you've got one. I've got my adapter harness, which plugs in here, and that is for your ignition switch. Like I said, I did put different terminals on there. If you've got a DS or you got the style that maybe has a screw in there, you can use the ring terminals that it came with. And again, that's just left unplugged, basically just filling up a hole right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and get all this back together. That's with my turn signal kit and stuff, with a couple relays and stuff, flashers, get all that tucked in together. And then I think I'm gonna be ready to put the floorboard back together. All right, so I got all this mounted back up, my wires down here, and I like to put a little bit of tape, kind of make it a little neat install. I do need to pop rivet my little connection plate here. And then the next step is I need to bolt up my cross support as I ran the harness. I ran the harness on the inside of the frame, and then it comes up over here, and then I'll be ready to bolt up my controller plate and everything else. All right, guys, I got that secured. Now I'm moving on to the harness. So I've got the harness fed in here. I'm gonna go ahead and move my attention to the run toe plate. So it looks like there is a fuse cover here. And also I wanna share something else with you. This slot right here is for where you bolt in your voltage reducer, your Eco battery voltage reducer. Now, I've had this battery laying over there on the ground. I've had it for about 3 years. It's doing fine. No reason for me to upgrade a battery when this one is fine, still under warranty. There is my voltage reducer. It mounts over there. It's out of the way. It's not going to interfere with my run toe plate or my existing Eco battery. So I'm going to leave it alone. But it probably would be a very nice install to cover up this little slot. So we're going to put in our run toe switch, which is right there. Turn this around. And our harness is going to plug into our solenoid. We're going to need to bolt up our cables, and they do come with cables. So you've got your red for your positive, your black for your negative. Over here on the controllers, marked very easily negative. I'm going to mark up my W, V, and U wires and plug in my solenoid. Make sure my harness will plug into there, and also my run toe switch. I noticed on the run toe switch, it also came with some hardware, and there's 3 bolts. My only guess is that's for the 3 bolts for your voltage reducer. So like I said, I'm going to have some extra parts. I'm not going to move my voltage reducer. I am, however, going to have to pop this little cover off. There it goes. Yeah, real simple. So I can take, and I'm pretty sure that's a 13 millimeter, and put my positive cable there, my negative cable, and it should go underneath this slot right here, or either right here. Once I slide it in there, I can tell which side it's going to go through, and bolt up these. So let's go ahead and get started, guys. Right off the bat, I noticed my positive is even marked solenoid. So it's going to tell you where to put on your solenoid, and it tells you run toe power. And the other side says battery positive with DC positive. So that's if you have anything else that needs to plug in to that terminal to get pack voltage, you can plug it in there. On your negative cable, I guess that's going to be the side that goes to your battery. And this side here has a rubber boot. So when it's put on there, it's going to have a rubber boot. So if we go back up to here, so this is my harness, and I apologize. I know it's a little difficult to distinguish my existing bucket harness and everything else, but I'll try to pull this out. So this wire here is to your temperature sensor and your encoder. That's what I was trying to figure out. So an encoder is a device that goes in the AC motors. I'm not fully, I don't fully understand exactly what all it does, but it needs it. So anyway, encoder, that's what those 2 wires are. So this wire is going to go right through here, and I'll plug it up at the motor. Let's see what else we've got here. So we've got run toe or toe run. So those 2 can go on the switch, which let's open that up. Sorry, I had to get 2 hands to open up the bag. But your run toe switch, now you've got 4 wires back here. I'm going to assume you stay on one side of it, just like your forward reverse. Again, this is my first time going into this. If it doesn't work, then I'll I'll reach out and try to figure that out. So I'm gonna go ahead and mount my run toe switch in there. And let's see what else we've got. Run toe power. Okay, so this must go to the positive cable from your solenoid run toe power. So, I mean, my gosh, this thing is almost dummy proof. So we're gonna bolt all that up. I'm gonna set it in there. Once I set it in there, we'll start the video back up. All right, so I got the plate kind of set in here. I've got my cables bolted up. I did not know the torque specs. I'm assuming it's around 20 foot-pounds or so, but anyway, I'm sure Eco's gonna have that information out if you get a torque wrench, but I just made sure they were snug. I didn't wanna over tighten them. I've got my negative cable. I felt like it would run better that way, my positive cable this way, and there actually was a hole right here, and I think that's what that was designed for. So anyway, first time doing it, that's where I'm gonna use it. My other harness, my main harness right here, I'm gonna put it through this little gap right here. Now I still need to hook up my solenoid. I also need to run that, these are CAN to the battery and a serial comm, so I'm gonna have to see what that goes to. But I know there's a CAN port on the meter cable from your Eco battery, and let's find it right here. And so if you've got a Gen 3 battery, you're going to use one of these, and they both do the same job. So I've got a Gen 2 battery at the moment, so I'm gonna plug that into there. If you've also got a charger, a CAN charger, which I'm going to put a CAN charger on here, it'll hook to the other one. So I'm gonna crawl underneath there and hook up that temperature sensor and encoder. All right, guys, so I got everything plugged up. I've got my run toe switch, and it shouldn't matter. What I did was I just used one side of, it's got 4 blades, but I just used one side. So when you click it on and off, it should connect these two together. That just snapped in real easy. The snap goes into the top. Let's see, what else did I plug in? I plugged in my solenoid, real self-explanatory. I plugged in my run toe power wire, which is right there labeled with my positive cable. And this wire here was over here. So this says KSI DC-DC trigger. That's key switch. I can't remember what the I stands for. But anyway, that is your key switch trigger wire for your voltage reducer. I've already, like I said, I've already installed it. I'm not going to uninstall it, but I've already got my orange wire going to the front to the key switch. I think it was actually early in the video. So if you're doing this from the get-go with an Eco battery, you don't need to run that orange wire all the way to the front. You can run it right here to the key switch. I think it's interlock. I think that's what it's for. So that one there, I'm gonna leave empty in the back. It's insulated. It's gonna be fine. When it comes, the harness comes out of here, you've got another harness here, and CAN to battery. I think I showed you earlier where that's going to go to. And then you've got this serial comm. That is for diagnostic purposes. Now, a lot of these batteries you can diagnose either over Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, but if you needed a tech tool, that is actually like a hookup, just like a Curtis scanner would hook up to something, but that is for the Eco battery tech tool. So now let me try to get all this mounted in place, and I do have a CAN charger that I'm going to replace this one with. And let's get all that up. All right, so I've got the run toe plate installed, my run toe switch. My cables are coming, power cables are coming right over here. And also this extra cable that I'm gonna plug into my CAN connector. I did just install my new CAN charger. So that's the newest style charger. This is gonna work out fine with my Gen 2 battery. Now I'm gonna place the battery in there, wire everything up there, and try to make this mess look a little better. So not a big deal, not a big deal at all. So let's go ahead and put the battery. All right, guys, so I got the charger mounted. I've got a little bit of wire management kind of tucked away. So this is your positive and negative cable. Now you may ask, why in the world is it so long? I really don't need it that long to go over there. Well, if you put a 70 volt battery, so I'm gonna give a little teaser here. once I test it with this, I'm taking this battery out and I'm going to put a 70 volt. But if you put a 70 volt battery, that battery is going to take up all this battery tray, and you're going to need that extra length. So these cables and this setup should work for a 51 volt eco battery or a 70 volt without any problem at all. So I don't see anything else. So let me get my cables bolted up to my terminals of my battery, and right here, this little DIN plug, and it's got two what they call CAN connectors, CAN. And the CAN connector is Communication Access Network, I think. It might be different. If this something stands for something different, I know C's for communication, just put it in the comments. So with those, one of those is going to be from your charger, because your charger has a CAN wire, and the other one is going to be from your new Eco Power kit, which is going to be that one. So it doesn't matter which one, so just plug it into one. Find the wire, and I need to find the wire from my charger. I'm gonna plug it in the other one. If you don't plug up your charger to this, it will not charge. So that's communication between the charger and the battery. It's a safety deal. Go ahead and do that. Don't try to figure out a way around it. Just plug it up. So let me go ahead and plug up those two, run my power cables, and that really should be pretty close to it. I still gotta put my side seals on. I'm gonna zip tie some wires underneath there, trying to take care of this, and let's see what happens. All right, guys, so I got everything mounted. I got the battery fired up, and actually I charged the battery before I took it apart, and I'm still at 100%. So now what I've got to do is let the system know that it's there. So I'm gonna go to my EcoBay or EB Power. That's going to be the app that you have to do. Get started, and this is the first time I've done it. Continue. Connect a new device. Do you see your QR code on your Eco battery device? Well, it's behind there, and I'm not going to take that out. Let's see, or your Wi-Fi. So let's cut my Wi-Fi. Let's find it. Settings. Wi-Fi. So there it is right there. EB Power. See if it connects up. Yep, it connected. So it's kind of different. It's actually Wi-Fi rather than Bluetooth. Continue. All right, let's allow. Let's try it again. I'm connected. All right. Guess I gotta hit my password here. All right. Connecting. All right, let's try this again. I hit the wrong password in. Okay, we are connected. So now, let's go back to EB Power. Continue. Detect modules. I guess that's what that is a module. All right, so let's connect on to the app. It says an update is available. So let's see if we can update the firmware. We'll see how long this takes. And you can probably see the percentage. Meanwhile, while I'm waiting on that to connect, you can see I'm at 100%. Got my forward, reverse, switch, correct. 1, 2, and 3. So obviously I would think 1 would be a very mild setting. All right, I'm getting close. Seems to slow down just a little bit, but there it goes, just picking up speed again. And sorry to drag this on, but I want you to know what to expect when you purchase it. So I'm going to mention at the end of the video, I am your Eco Battery dealer. I would love to be your dealer. So at the end of the video, beginning of the video, I'm going to have my phone number, my email address. Just contact me. I do ship. Done a ton of installs, so if you're interested in a battery, also let me know. Join my page on YouTube. You can see a lot of these installs on the different types of batteries, different carts. All right, getting close, 97%. All right, reboot and reconnect. And surely this is just because it's a first time use. All right, so let's reconnect. Let's retry it. All right, let's try another connection. There we go, we're connected. Let's locate the module. There we go. All right, so this is a club car. So let's see here, cart type, club car pre-2021. This is a 2015 is what I've got. All right, let's see here, key type. I know what they mean by that. Standard, not a push button. Motor type. All right, this is the EB5KW. Tire size, I have 23s on this one. Gear ratio, I'm at the 12.3. Power level. All right, let's see what this is about. Power level. So I wonder if this is part of that 1, 2, 3, but let's just leave it. Let's leave power level at normal. Forward speed limit. All right, so forward speed limit. I'm gonna set this up to, let's set it to 20. That's kind of like a code 4. Reverse speed limit 5, that's plenty. All right. Battery, this is the sleep timer. So a lot of this is on your program on your battery also, but anyway, 168 hours, above 20%, below 20%, 24 hours. So there's a whole process to wake your battery up. So we are going to apply that. Apply those changes, continue. I just heard something click in the back. So that must be, well, just like it says, erasing the firmware and updating it. There goes our bar graph. Now this should only have to be done once unless you change the settings. But with 3 settings, I don't feel like I'm gonna have I don't feel I'll be changing it that much. And then it clicked again. I don't know if you can hear that on the phone. All right, that's flying pretty fast. Cycle key to commit changes. All right. All right, so let's reconnect again. Join. Okay. It did not give me the software update at the top like it did last time. All right, that's something I was looking for. Mode 1, Mode 2, Mode 3. So in Mode 1, I guess that's what I was setting, Mode 1. The 20 miles an hour, 5 mile an hour. The battery, got all of that. That looks good. I'm just gonna go ahead and hit apply. Continue. Flashing. I don't know why it gave an error, but that's already in there. Now let's go to Mode 2. Mode 2, let's pump it up to 30 miles an hour. Well, it only goes to 26. Unlock faster codes means I agree, which means probably you're on your own. Let's put that at 30. Same reverse. Everything else is same. Let's apply that. Continue. Apply these changes. Update the modules. This process could take anywhere from a few seconds to 5 minutes. All right, let's continue. All right, guys, I just had to restart my my phone. I think my phone was the problem. So Mode 1, I've got it at 20. Mode 2, I set it to 30, and we'll see what it does. Mode 3, I'm going to adjust it to 50. And I don't think this limo car to go that fast, but hey, I'm just going to see what will happen. So I'm going to save that. It's going through its, all right, so I should be done. Well, there it is, just loading up the module. All right, so Mode 1 is 20, Mode 2 is 30, and Mode 3 is 50. So, looks pretty good to me. Monitor, so I guess it's monitoring all this stuff. It's a whole lot of stuff it's looking at, isn't it? Battery, it's monitoring your battery system. 16 cells in your battery. Setup, it figured it out. I do have a 51 volt 105. Latest version installed on the battery. That's good. So I do not have a security pin to make any changes, so I'm not worried about all that. So that should pretty much be it. So now, I'm itching to drive this thing, but it's raining outside. So I will drive this in the morning, and we'll do some real-time filming tomorrow. Guys, I got this thing together, and you don't know how much it's killing me. It's raining like crazy. It's been beautiful all afternoon. So like I said, we'll test drive this thing in the morning. But meanwhile, I want to show you the tools that I used during this whole process. All right, that's a mess of tools I have. I used some duct tape, 13 millimeter wrench, razor blade, cordless drill. Actually, 2 cordless drills, just so I didn't change them out. I've got a Torx 30 in there, and also a Torx 15 that was on my dash panel. I used this pick, and what I used that for was for that ring around the charging port when I removed that kick panel. Phillips head screwdriver, some little wire cutters for zip ties. That's a 13mm socket and ratchet. I did have to use a pop rivet gun because mine's a limo. If you're doing a 4-seater, you don't have to worry about that. I've got a couple different wire strippers and crimpers that I grabbed. I may not have been able to find one, so I just grabbed a second pair. But anyway, that helps out a lot. That was another pick I used and probably forgot I had the other one out. Pair of wire cutters. Screwdriver, and I think I pried up the floorboard on the extension. That is a 13mm socket. I had to loosen the seat pod on the front. If you don't have a limo, you won't have to worry about that. I use my electric impact for that deal. That is a 11/16. That is for the nut on my hold down rod on my J-hook for the battery. I did use this little Christmas tree puller or door panel tool when I took up the brake pad to put the extension harness on the M-core. Pair of needle nose pliers somewhere. Don't remember what I used it for. I used this little tiny adjustable wrench when I took the diagnostic port connector out of my dash panel because it only works on club car controller. I don't have one anymore. 7/16 wrench, I use that removing the motor, the stock motor. 1/2-inch wrench, again, removing for the stock motor. This, I call it a tappet wrench. That's what I was raised to call it. Really thin wrench just to hold the stud so I don't tear up my motor. There's another 13. I think I used these two 13s when I was taking the aluminum plate from the limo extension, so you may not need that. This is a 10mm. These are what the new bolts that hold the motor on will need. So every bit of that's something nobody special's got to have. You don't have to have the impact. You can do it with hand tools, so it does not take a lot of tools. This kit basically was everything but the tools. I did not have to use anything else to get this kit together. Now I just need to get rid of that rain so I can test drive this thing. And one other thing, I had it laying somewhere else. I use this little oscillating cutting tool to cut in my switch. And again, that's going to be optional. It does come with a bracket where you can bolt it up somewhere else. Seems like right here would have been a good place if I didn't have this glove box, lid to worry about. So there are some other options if you don't have that, or you don't. Maybe you've got some switches there you don't want to cut. I also want to show you what you're going to be left over with. So you're going to have a run toe plate. You're going to have a good controller, solenoid, wires that go to your motor. You're going to have a wiring harness left over. Those are not cheap, by the way. Bunch of empty bags. It does come with a bag full of assorted electrical connections. Fortunately, I only used a couple of them. And does come with some pretty cool little eco swag. I've actually already got a eco battery sticker on my windshield, but anyway, that's pretty cool. This here says a serial programming cable, USB to 4-pin. I'm assuming that's for the tech tool. I'm really not even sure what that's for, but obviously with the Bluetooth app, that's easy enough to program. Here is another throttle adapter club car. So I don't have this type of throttle. So I have an M-core, so I didn't need that. Maybe that's for other applications. These are the bolts that are going to go to your voltage reducer if it goes against a plate. I just chose to leave mine where it was. Here's that mode switch housing, which is pretty cool. So you've got that if you decide to mount it other than the way I did, and a whole bunch of empty bags. So, don't forget about, and you're going to have a motor left over. So that's definitely worth some money too. All right, guys. Thank you, Sunshine. So getting ready to take it for the first drive. I got me a little ride or die over here, shotgun and a seat belt. So I'm on mode 1 right now, so let me do some acceleration and carry you guys along for the ride. All right, so we're down in mode 1. Acceleration feels good. All right, it got up there pretty quick. I don't have my GPS on me, but it felt like as soon as it got to where it wanted to be, the power went off. It reminded me of like an RX-V golf cart, if y'all have ever driven one of those. So I do think it got up to 20 real quick. So I'm to the floor. The throttle's very smooth. Yep, it kind of hit its little govern, but it wasn't abrupt. Alright, so I'm to the floor. Yeah, seems pretty smooth. Alright, let's turn around and do a code 2 or setting 2 on the mode switch. Alright, you can tell that GPS, it was solid, so now I'm going to mode 2. Let's see what it feels. Acceleration definitely feels a little spicier. Alright, I can feel the power stop pulling because it pulls pretty quick. Now I'm doing this to the floor. Definitely feels like I'm going faster than I was before. Let me pull a GPS and see how it does. Alright guys, you can see the GPS, it showed 28, and it could be my GPS is off. I think I had that mode 2 set at 30. Now this one I had set at like 50. I know it ain't gonna do 50, but this is my spicy tune-up, so let me try an acceleration from a dead stop and see how it feels. Oh my gosh, definitely spicier. So let's see how fast it goes. A little speed bump right here. All right, now we're back into throttle again. Feels good, feels really good. Definitely feels like I'm going a little bit faster. Still picking up a little bit of speed. All right. Coming to the end of the road. All right, let me do my GPS on my phone. I can't video it at the same time. And let's see. Now, as I'm cruising around here, even though I have the accelerator pretty aggressive, it feels pretty easy to feather. So, feels good to me. All right, let's plug up the GPS, get on that straightaway, and see what kind of top speed we get with the wide open settings. There you have it, guys. You can see by the smile on my face, 40 miles an hour. So you got up to 38 really quick, and then it didn't take long to go from 38 to 40 on flat ground. So you can tell this is a big old heavy limo cart. I'm real excited to see what some of these other guys are going to get out of the 4-seaters. So, hey, you may be somebody local. Buy the kit from me and your 4-seater, and let's put that thing in there. So now I'm going to try something that I don't know if it's acceptable or not, but I'm going to drive it and I'm going to switch the modes and see if it's like an on-the-fly adjustment. So let's see what happens. Call me crazy, but in mode 3 with all that wicked up, it's actually spinning the tires when I just floor it. So I don't know if you can see it or not. You can hear it a little bit. So anyway, it's not lighting them up or anything like that, but man, this thing's got power. All right, so now I'm driving in mode 1. I can definitely tell I hit the rev limiter on it for the speed. Let's go to 2. Yep, it picked up speed. Now I hit the rev limiter on it. Let's go to 3. Yep, it's pulling again. So switching the mode button, you can do it on the fly. At least I have. Hey guys, so that's a wrap. So I know this is a long video, but this being a new product on the market, I wanted to be sure I showed you every step that I had to do on my personal cart. But she's running, I'm very impressed. She's running very good. And I'll put a picture up here. But the Eco battery gauge has a amp section at the very bottom, very small. You've got to kind of video it. It's kind of hard to see it while you're driving. But I did a hard pull from a dead stop, and it was pulling like 449 amps. Now, even though it's a 600 amp controller, it doesn't mean that I might not be in a position to where I need 600 amps. But on flat ground, on this pavement that we're at right now, that's what it pulled. And it was spinning those back tires, just a little bit. So I'm real interested to see how this thing climbs hills. I mean, it's doing great in my neighborhood, and I've got a very steep hill, and I'll shoot out a video later. But right now, it rained like crazy last night, and I'm not going to get in that mud pit back there. But I don't have any doubts at all that this power system won't pull up a steep incline. So if you live in the mountains, you live in a very hilly neighborhood, I think this is the go-to kit. So by the time you take some of the other AC guys, which I'm still a big fan of, so I'm not throwing stones at them. By the time you take their kit and you have to source out the cables, source out a solenoid, a couple of them you have to tap out that one-toe plate to make sure the solenoid fits properly. By the time you do all that, you're going to have about the same money in there. So on the Eco Battery website, they do have them live. They went live here in July of 2025. That's when this video was filmed. I know content stays out there a long time, but they'll have all the prices on the 3 different kits. So if you're interested in it, give me a call. I'll put my name down here, my phone number, my email address, whatever is easier for you. You can text me, I'm fine with that. And I can get you the current price. I can do the batteries also. You may be looking at this and say, you know what, I don't want to put that much money into it, but I want a little more speed. Well, I'm still a Plum Quick dealer. That's a good bang for the buck, but it's no AC kit. So the AC kits is a monster. So I think you guys are going to be very happy with it. That setting 2, setting 1 that I've got is great. One thing I am going to change, I'm not going to do it on this film, but I'm going to change my reverse speed limit up a little bit. So it's a little slow. I think reverse speed limit's like 9 or 10 on the factory settings, and I was happy with that, but I think it was 5, I think, when we went through our settings. That's a little too slow. So I'm going to change up the reverse speed limit. Other than that, I'm just going to drive it and enjoy it. So there you go. Hey, thanks again. Shout out to Eco for actually being great for my questions. So I did call them a couple times with some explanations like that encoder that I didn't know what it was. But anyway, they've been great. Buy from a company you trust. Buy from a dealer that you trust. I hope I'm your dealer. But thanks again, and you guys be safe when you put it on there.